Hi gardening friends, it's Nancy Welliver and I am here at our Kinder Spirit property, and I'm just wanting to update you because it's been a while, but so just to remind you, we're kind of rehabbing the space. It was just one ginormous lawn, which you can see kind of extends past the patio there. It was one ginormous lawn that had a lot of Roundup and 2,4-D and all that kind of stuff used on it for a number of years. And from what I can tell by the tree roots that are exposed now for these tall firs here, which you can tell at the top there, not looking so great, that they've lost about probably a foot or so, maybe a little more, of topsoil over the last 20 years by having this lawn in place rather than building soil. And the soil is actually pretty much clay at this point. So we're trying to rehab the soil, plant trees, plant food and herb crops, and to do it as sustainably as possible. So that's kind of the goal. Originally I was going to put charcoal slurry down on the whole thing, but that seemed like it was going to be too take up too much time for the amount of benefit I was going to get. Because really I know that the way to rehab soil is by building soil. So building the microbiome that will create structure and as well as release nutrients for plants and build topsoil. So that's what I'm working on. So this was the very first bed we put in. I made it out of the paving stones and things that I found around the property. He left us a lot of stuff because he kind of was just done and wanted to move on. So I had all these paving stones and just hastily made a little box out of them and planted just some herbs. Here's some pineapple sage I brought over from the other house, and then we've got just some lemon verbena, one of my favorite things to drink in a tea, for example, and make hydrosol from. And there's a little tiny spearmint coming up. It's end of May, so that's where we're at in the Pacific Northwest. Then we got a little lavender, some oregano, some rosemary, some thyme is hidden in there as well. Got a rhubarb started, got some, actually you can't see them because they're very small little starts, but got some asparagus started as well as lots of strawberries in there. Threw in a couple beans as well. Ever-present Melissa lemon balm. Got some cistus here that's growing in ground. Usually grows quickly and on bad soil, so I planted it directly into the soil. Here we have, here's one of the first other quick beds I built, and just again from scrap lumber that he had lying around, and then I had these steel panels that I used to cover firewood. So I used those and made a big planter last probably late fall, early winter, and got it ready for our greens. You can see they're doing really well. For on this side, this was when I put up this spring, it's not doing as well. It's got some chlorosis. These are beans. Not sure exactly why. I mean, usually that's just the inability to take up some iron and manganese, I guess. So what I did this morning, I initially bought some plant food, but I've never put plant food on my plants, so I'm like, what? So I was like, oh wait, I know what to do. So I made a tea out of a bunch of herbs, a really strong tea out of some nettles and horsetail, and I couldn't find my alfalfa, so I picked some red clover and some other herbs and put it all together and just made a really super strong tea, and then gave each of these plants about a cup of that tea after it cooled. We'll see what happens over the next few days. I'll probably repeat that in, I don't 2 or 3 days. Got an apple here, and a little, another rosemary. Got a bunch of herbs over here I'm really excited to plant from a local herbalist. So I'm going to show you where I'm going to plant those in a minute. And I've got my bay tree here that I've got one in place, sorry, hope I didn't make you dizzy there. Got one in place right over here. So this is going to be kind of a Mediterranean garden. Yeah, so I've got another bay. Haven't decided exactly where to put it, but I might put it outside the kitchen window here. So we'll see. And these are just some plants that came over with me. Those are strawberries. Potatoes popped up here. I'd hoped my dear sweet Angelica sinensis would pop up again, but it looks like the potatoes popped up and not the Angelica. Yeah, I'm not totally certain what those are, but again, that pot came over with me from our old house, and there's some pellitory waiting for the herb bed to get made. Trying different planting situations. So I had read about planting in bales of hay. So I got an elecampane planted in there, and we'll see. Probably I'll move that as soon as I get the herb bed done. This is another experiment I was doing. I actually made walls using the straw bales and just planted potatoes in, and I'll pile up garden soil and straw for those to continue to grow in. This was one of the first beds I built also out of scrap materials that I found around the property. And these are this is garlic, and then down in the bottom there's some little plants of American ginseng. So yeah, so I'm hoping that those are going to do well too. I figured if I put the garlic around it, the deer would leave them alone while they got their good start. So I think that's happening. Oh, and we got a viburnum opulus here. I'm going to plant some trees in this area. Shouldn't cast too much shade on any planting area. This is our septic hill, so I can't plant anything up there or leading from this septic hill all the way down to behind those new beds down there. So I've got to leave some of it as lawn. Just planted this pear tree hastily last night. I do use bells to keep the deer away. So these are our bells, so that as soon as they try to munch on it, it makes a noise and scares them. And sometimes I'll put up these bamboo sticks, so if they go in to take a bite, they actually get a little hit in the face with a sharp little bamboo end. And then I sometimes will even put bells on there, so again, to keep them from munching on my plants. Love the deer, but gotta set some boundaries. This is a place where I'm building a new hugel culture. I'm collecting the branches for that. This will be more of a circular bed. I'm hoping to make this one the predominantly herb bed, but we'll also probably put a fig tree or something there. As long as it's this side of that course up to the septic hill, I think we'll be okay, but I'm not positive about that, so I'm still thinking about that. Yeah, and this is a bed we've planted. We've got tomatillos and sunflowers and tomatoes and peppers. So this is more of our food garden bed. Yeah, some squash and eggplant, basil. Got some beans in here. Got some more squash. It's actually a little thing of arnica that's waiting for the herb bed. A little mini sunflower, and of course we've got our motherwort that we moved over from our last place. Yeah, and then got monarda here and some chives in back. Lots of roses to plant here. I'm aware that the critters will munch on those, but I'm hoping that because they're a little bit closer to the house that they'll stay out there in the woods, because we have lots of woods and there's lots of roses in those woods, so they don't really need to eat our roses. Here's the greenhouse that I put up. It's kind of empty right now because I've moved everything outside, and some trees that I'm hoping to get planted soon. Some maples and all of that I ordered accidentally. I meant to order a fig. There's some herbs on the table there growing. And over there we've got a hazelnut and a fig on the porch. Trying to protect them from the deer. Some more garlic and another fig, some serviceberry. So these are all going to go in the ground over in this section. So I just have to start clearing this section. After I finish the herb bed, the trees will be the next things to be planted. Yeah, so that's mostly the yard. I've done one other bit. So this is all waiting to get taken care of. I had a big compost pile there, but now it's into the garden beds. I'll start building another one here soon. That was the thermocomposting bed. Let's see, where's the other one? Is the static bed that's on the other side. So you see we've got most of our logs cut. Got probably about, I don't know, 5 cords of wood cut, which my friend Joseph helped me with. I've got all of these. I'm going to divide them up so that I can use some for building, and then I'll go ahead and chip the rest. You can see the roses up behind there. Let me see if I can zoom in on these. I'm going to pick some of these roses so I can make some hydrosol this week from the wild roses. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let me just bring us down to one. And yeah. So, and over here, we've been working away. This is the kind of entry to the property. So I'm going to have a big poplar tree here, if the deer allow it. I haven't totally eaten off all the leaves, so it's okay. So we're going to have a big poplar tree here because I love to have poplar close by that I can collect so that I can make some poplar oil for salves and for other things as well. I've got some lavenders here. It gets hot and dry here in the summer, very wet in the winter. But that is because I've found that they put non-penetrable landscaping fabric underneath all of this. So I poked holes in it. Hopefully I don't have to take everything up and pull it up, but that just seemed like more of a job than I was ready for. So I just poked holes in it as best I could. And there's a lot of lavender around. And then we have a black elder there. Got some roses. And here we have a chase tree that's just starting to show its leaves. We've got another one here, so this will be a nice, have a small tree shrub area here as we walk into our entryway here. Beautiful butterfly just went by. So we're gonna have the purple lavender, purple chase tree. Then we'll have the black, or those are the black elder, one there and one there and one there. Yeah, and then we've got some aronia berry, which is one's there, and one here that the deer have really gone after. But it keeps trying to come back, so I'm gonna let it try for as long as it wants to. I'm okay if the deer sample things, but trying to keep them from just, going crazy. And here's another one, aronia. It's doing better than its friend. Yeah, so Okay, and then this one here as well. I was told the deer didn't like them, but I was told that deer will eat just about anything. So, and here's the black elder again, and some roses. Oh, and there's little Osage plum here as well. Lots and lots of roses everywhere you look here. They've just started to bloom, so we don't quite have the blooms out yet. Either that or maybe the deer ate them all, which I'm okay with. Deer have to eat too. So I think that's the areas that we've really improved so far. Yeah, just one other thing I was going to show you, which I'm not sure how good a picture we can get from it, but so we have 9 acres total. So we have this little ditch. It's full of water in the winter. It's just dried up. And we are starting to make a little pathway through here so that we can go from one parcel of land. I've been over here for a week. Of course, in the Pacific Northwest, a week is like, jungle time. Oop. Okay, so we're making a path through here to get to the other part of the property. I see, we're way too focused in. Yeah, so of course everything's grown. We've just cut this all down last week. Oh, it's so funny. Pacific Northwest, everything grows. It's the good and the bad of it. So, hello, my friend. And yeah, so we created this path. That was sort of a deer path before. And it does look sort of prehistoric with these giant ferns. Everything grows big here. I told a friend I had 8 feet nettles, and he didn't believe me, but we really do. Yeah, and then as we come out, yeah, this is eventually where I want to put some oak trees and have more of the dry savanna kind of plants up here. It's really a nice little spot. It was going to originally be our yurt space, but it was too small. So I might put a hoop house up here and plant some Gary oaks that I have. All right, so I guess that's all. Just want to, this section here actually is inside there. There's a bunch of roses and also some other medicinal herbs that are just growing wild that I'm going to hopefully collect. And then, of course, you can see here we have got our dear little nettle. So nettles everywhere. Not picking them this year because I felt like I overpicked them last year. And they got more, see, they've succumbed a little bit to beetles. So this year I'm going to go a little easy on them. I've picked what I need for our teas for the year. I'm going to probably pick some seeds and leave it at that. Some berries are forming, so lots of good stuff here. Okay, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to let you... Oh, I forgot to show you the main hugel. I'm going to pause, and then we'll go over to the big hugel that we planted last year. Hi, friends, again. Some of you might have remembered that we made a big hugel culture last year when I first moved in the fall, out of branches and then straw and wood chips and garden soil. So I just wanted to show you how it's going and just to orient you. There's those new beds and there's the house. And way over there, whoop, is where we're putting our new hugel. But this is the current one. Got some catnip, lots and lots of lemon balm because it takes off quickly, and I knew it would start to hold down the hugel. Our little redwood tree looked a little iffy during the winter, but it's recovering nicely. Yeah, we had some primroses for color, as well as some hellebore for color for the winter. Got some elders growing, got some black cohosh growing, got some comfrey growing, little philopendula, which is meadowsweet, great for ulcers and things. Got some blue cohosh, lots of, I seeded it also with red clover, so that, again, it would start to put down roots. Yeah, more elder, lots of elder, nasturtiums. This is one called Culver's root, an old favorite of the eclectic physicians. So that's how our first hugel's doing. And let's see, and there's our second redwood tree, which again is doing pretty well. Lots of cleavers around to help things out, build the soil. Yeah, so I just wanted to share how that was going. So just so you know. All right, I'll check in again once I get that herb hugel done, the one that's way over here, and I'll plant it up so you can see it. Okie doke. Take care now. As you can see, I'm planting mostly above ground because of all that toxicity of the soil, and just really working on building soil that way. Okie doke. Take care. Bye.